Welcome back to It's Okay Garage. Today I got this 2008 Subaru WRX that needs a turbo replaced. So let's get this hood popped. So the first thing I'm gonna start off with is popping off this intercooler. You got two 12s right here that are to the top side of that turbo. You got a hose clamp down here and also another 12 right over here to get that intercooler all the way off. Actually just disconnect the blow off valve right there. My next step is going to be taking off this heat shield. So you got two 10s over here. So you got this one, 2 right here. You got one over here, and then the 2 on this side. Now that you got that heat shield off, you got 5 14s around to take that downpipe off, and then we'll crawl underneath and disconnect the downpipe completely. So now that you're underneath the car, to get this downpipe all the way off, you have a 14 on the top side of this bracket that needs to come off. Got a 14 right here. And then on this side of the transmission, on the driver's side, the O2 plug is right there. Need to unplug that and then feed this through onto the other side so you don't catch anything or rip it. And then after that, you got your 2 main bolts, one right here and one right here. One side's a 12 and the other side's a 14. Get this all torn apart. Now your next step is, you got 3 14s, you got this one right there, and then the other one is right there. And then also, you got a hose clamp right here behind these boost lines that leads to this turbo inlet that comes back into the front side. You got these 2 lines right here, oil feed line that look like they're 2 17s that you need to break apart and undo there, so that part comes out with the turbo. And then you'll also have to undo this coolant line that leads to it. Underneath the turbo, you have an oil drain line. So you got to undo this hose clamp right down here. So undo the boost line right at that T. Now we got this turbo taken off. I kind of overlook everything. One thing you always want to look at is this turbo inlet. See if there's any tears in it. Pretty eaten up. So let's get this other turbo opened up. Little comparison, that looks pretty nice. It's a tiny bit bigger, nothing too crazy. Should be able to run it no problem on that stock setup. So let's take off all these hose lines and coolant lines and get them swapped over with all the new gaskets and hardware. So to switch everything over, you're gonna need a 17s for the coolant line and a couple 10s, and then you also got some 10s on the other bottom side for the oil feed line. So let's get those lines over with the 10 and 17s. And there is also gonna be some copper washers under these banjo bolts over here. So let's make sure we don't lose them. Now we got the turbo on place and all the coolant lines and oil lines all connected. Let's crawl underneath and get that downpipe back on. And also as I'm underneath, I'm gonna make sure everything's seated properly underneath, such as that oil drain line on the bottom side of the turbo. Now you get that downpipe back into place, everything bolted up underneath, plugged in. Go ahead and slide this gasket in, and then we'll bolt that turbo down, and we'll get the heat shield on. Now that you got the heat shield on, and then let's throw this intercooler on. All right, now that we got everything all put together, some coolant in the reservoir, we're ready to start it. Another po-po. Finally got this car done, got that turbo all installed, got everything taken care of, and it's up and running. So thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in those next videos.